EURUSD has continued to push up higher after bad inflation numbers came out. Now, when inflation is low, what is likely to happen? Well, interest rates are likely to go down as well. When interest rates go down, institutional investors receive lower returns on their money, and therefore they move their money most likely into other economies, overall devaluating a specific currency. Well, that is currently happening with the dollar to a certain extent, and that is why we've seen EURUSD push up higher. Now, EURUSD from a technical perspective, guys, what has been going on? Well, as we can see when we zoom out, the overall daily time frame has still been bullish. This over here was our break of structure in towards the upside, swing low, swing high. Then what happened? 0.5 fib retracement, and then obviously here we had a daily fractal break, causing this here to be the daily area of demand, and that has now pushed the market up higher. Well, sometimes it can be that simple. Now, looking here at the daily time frame, what I'm currently looking at is this refined area of supply that still has the potential to push the market down lower, okay? So I'm still looking for one potential rebound in towards the downside, and this has to do with the dollar as well, which I'll touch upon in a second. At the moment here on the 4-hour time frame, what I'm looking at is for a deeper correction as we're leaving behind a lot of liquidity. Here we have ascending lows, here we have ascending lows, and next to that, what we're currently forming is obviously a 1, 2, 3 in the sense that we have the one high, the second high, and I'm looking for that third high to be established to then look for a potential downside push after taking out these equal highs that we have positioned over here. So that's currently what I'm monitoring on EURUSD for a potential downside push. Furthermore, okay, the daily might be swing bullish, but the 4-hour is definitely swing bearish at the moment. If you, for example, were to view this as the overall break of structure line, swing high, swing low, then you can clearly see that we're now retracing in towards a premium area of supply. We're seeing the overall corrective pattern in towards the upside. So there is definitely still potential for us to see another push in towards the downside, in my opinion, also with the dollar index aligning with that perspective. Now, if you're looking for those shorts on EURUSD, obviously wait for these equal highs to get taken out, then look for the overall 4-hour fractal structure shift, and then you can take a short at least in towards this CPI low, which was formed over here, and then hold into potentially even this NFP low, which is positioned all the way over here. Now, obviously, if the overall momentum and the overall order flow remains bullish, then don't burn your hands on those shorts and just wait for the market to kind of like break the overall highs, and you can follow the overall momentum. So again, there are two trades here. There is a long on the current momentum that we have. So that's just simply said following the overall daily fractals, because at the moment you can see that the previous daily fractal played out beautifully as an area of demand. Now obviously here this is now your daily area of order flow. So if we see a strong daily candle close, you could just simply said look for another buy in towards the upside. But then once, for example, the 4-hour fractal would shift, then I would definitely shift in towards a short-term short bias, at least in towards these lows, and then potentially hold it towards these lows and even that NFP low down over here. But this trade will also be dependent on what the dollar does, because the dollar at the moment is also in a very interesting region where at the moment, starting on the weekly time frame, we are first of all weekly fractal bullish. Okay, so from a weekly perspective, fractal low, fractal high, we're inside weekly demand, so there is still potential for it to push up higher. Then going towards the daily, what we see here on the daily is that the daily fractal is bullish as well. Fractal low, fractal high. Inside here we have the sub for the buy, refine it to this imbalance candle, which is a 50% body candle, and then from there we could potentially look for another rebound up higher to take out that NFP high, maybe some more liquidity above these highs as well, back up to the monthly open. So keeping an eye on that to happen. Definitely interested in some longs there on the dollar, as the overall market structure from a weekly fractal perspective and from a daily perspective is both very, very interesting. So keeping my eyes open for that. On the 4-hour time frame, we finally taken out those ascending lows, which we've been discussing for quite some time. Now with those ascending lows taken, let's wait for the 4-hour fractal shift to happen, and then potentially we could look for that long to happen, and that would mean that EURUSD is then ready to push down lower. Now moving on into AUDUSD. AUDUSD yesterday was looking pretty good for a short position as we were trading at the 0.5 fib, and then from a 4-hour perspective, if you look over here, 4-hour swing is bearish, right? So here we have the break of structure down. Here we had a liquidity high got taken out, and the overall order flow seemed to want to push the market down lower, but then you see that the dollar and EURUSD are just simply king, and that liquidity needed to get grabbed. Now this is not a bad thing, because at the moment we're now pushing in towards this area of supply, and once that supply zone gets hit, then inside of there we could start looking for that short position once the overall market structure shift in the form of a fractal break takes place to potentially take out those NFP lows and that CPI low as well. Going into GBPUSD, this is where I took a loss myself. I was in a short position, obviously inside of this overall buy up for the sell down after taking liquidity, being inside premium pricing, and getting here the first 4-hour fractal break in a very, very long time. I was very patient with this trade. I waited this entire supply zone, didn't take a short down, then finally hit this supply zone, took out this liquidity high. Then for me, I was ready. But as we can see, kind of like what I discussed in yesterday's video, where we see the star pattern or the whatever candlestick pattern in towards the downside, and then just comes back up to grab the liquidity that was resting above, because this is like such a clear candlestick pattern that the market just needs to reverse to grab that liquidity. So grab that liquidity, and now the 4-hour fractal is bullish. So if you want to get it back into shorts, because obviously we're still at good value for potential shorts, we will need to wait for the daily and for the 4-hour to kind of like align. Well, from a daily perspective, I still see their potential to be for shorts. We just need the 4-hour to align at the moment. So what I'm waiting for on the 4-hour is for us to take out the previous daily high. Once that previous daily high gets taken out, so that's kind of like the top wick of yesterday's candle, then we'll look at the 4-hour time frame. And then you could potentially get into a short, and then I would place, for example, the stop a little bit above kind of like the daily strong high and the 4-hour fractal, or the 4-hour strong high, excuse me, and the daily fractal high. That would be the best option. And this is also the weekly overall high as well. So yeah, that's what I have for GBPUSD. Still seeing some potential for some downside, but we need that bearish momentum to kick back in. Going into NZDUSD, we can see that NU itself has also been pushing up higher. Now, yesterday, again, it looked a lot better. At the moment, we're seeing a lot of weakness from the dollar. So let's wait on NZDUSD at least as well till we take out this red line over here. Once that red line gets taken out, then you'll be in a strong area of supply, liquidity low, or liquidity high, excuse me, here. And then we can start looking for a short position back in towards the downside. So that's what I have for NZDUSD. Going into then USD Swiss, USD Yen, and Gold. USD Swiss has pushed back down hard after rejecting that monthly open level. It's kind of like what I've highlighted. We're ranging here, and I'm not going to involve with any trades until we take out the range low or the range high. So I would wait with that. Then USDJPY has pushed back down in towards the overall demand zone. Again, very volatile pair, very clear support and resistance level. I think it would be safe to say that this still has some downside potential. I wouldn't really want to be in this trade at the moment, just because the overall demand zone is too clear of a break retest as well. And then often you'll just see kind of like the lows get hunted. So I'm not going to go long on this personally. Then going into gold. Gold is an interesting one where we took out the low of that 338.90. So what I highlighted yesterday inside Discord as well is that there was liquidity resting above this very, very first low of all of the lows over here. And then you can see that we just kind of like hunted it twice. First time, reverses up higher, and then the second time. And then the second time, it made a connection as well with the overall daily demand zone. So that's the higher conviction play that then occurs. And then on the 4-hour time frame, you can just see that we've been consolidating. So still a very dangerous range to be involved in. But overall, daily made a connection. 4-hour/1 hour took out liquidity. Now looking at the 1-hour time frame, it's very messy. But overall, I'm favoring the next upside move, but price is waiting. So kind of like I would say wait for it to break out and then start trading the overall kind of like impulsive phase, which will then occur over here. This is a danger zone in my personal opinion, but I am looking for further longs on gold. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. This afternoon we're going live on YouTube, by the way, or not live on YouTube, live in Discord. So make sure to join the Discord. Link is in the description of this video. Thanks for watching. Wish you all a fantastic trading day and speak soon.